Good evening, YouTube family. Tio here, Simplistic Fishing. I am not going to do a lake breakdown for you tonight. No, I'm not. Actually, what I'm going to do is I want to talk to you guys about a request that I got in regards to how to modify the KML file and then put it on your SD card. So say you buy the digital file from simplisticfishing.com, or maybe you didn't even buy the digital file. Maybe you bought the SD card and I sent you the KML file, and you want to modify that KML file to where maybe it only shows offshore hotspots, or maybe it only shows you rocks or whatever it is, instead of loading all of the waypoints onto your graph, only loading select waypoints. Well, it is a little bit tricky, but I'm willing to walk you through it if you're willing to sit down and listen. So that's what we're going to do tonight. Let's go ahead and jump into this. I'm going to show you guys how to do that. And then hopefully you can do it next time you order a card from me, or if you're out there and you're using my KML file and you want to do some modifications. Quick and easy way to do it. Let's talk about it. Here we go. Let's go ahead and jump into this. So as you can see here, I'm in Google Earth. Now, in order to be able to do all of this, obviously you have to have Google Earth Pro, which is on your desktop. So you need to make sure that you're using a laptop, PC, Mac, whatever it is that you want to use, but you've got to have Google Earth, and you've got to have that version of it, not off of the phone, basically a laptop. So once you get it on the laptop or the PC and you open up Google Earth Pro, you'll notice that I send you an email when you order the cards from me. You'll have the email. So this is what it would look like. Here it is. Just here's an example of one where someone had ordered a card for me, and this is for Lake Fork. And part of that is actually going to be a KML file. And if you double click that, what will happen is it will open that file up inside of Google Earth. So in this example, I have all of my lakes over here on the left-hand side that I've broke down. So of course, I don't want to just open up Lake Fork because I already have a Lake Fork in here. Plus, the example I want to use for you guys today is going to be on Ray Hubbard. So let's go ahead and click the Ray Hubbard one. And of course, this is what it would look like. And it doesn't matter what lake it is, but this is what it would look like when you get it. Now, a lot of the requests that I get is because they want to know, hey, can you only show me the pond dams, or can you only show me rocks or points, or how do I modify these waypoints? And the quick answer is there's really not an easy way to do it from your graph. So unless you just import them in and then delete them all off, that's really what I do. As I go lake to lake, I just delete all my waypoints, import in a new card, and I go on. But some people have waypoints that are in specific spots that they want to be able to keep. And that's where it gets a little bit trickier, because then you have to go into the graph and delete by date and all of that stuff. And it gets a little crazy. So one way you could do that is you could either export out all of your waypoints that you have on your graph and then bring those into Google Earth, just basically by opening up the GPX file that your graph creates. Or you can come in here before you import them into your graph and select only the ones that you want. So in this example, we have Ray Hubbard, and you can see here we've got a lot of stuff going on the lake. I've got boat lanes that I've made. We've also got some danger icons, humps, basically everything that you can think of here on Ray Hubbard. So let's say, for example, that what I want to do is I want to only fish offshore. So really, with all these waypoints, I like them. I like to be able to look at them here on the map, but I really don't want them on my graph. I just want the offshore hotspots on my map. So in that case, what we're going to do is we're going to go over here to the lake, and we're going to right click and then hit copy. And then we're going to right click again, and we're going to hit paste. And you'll notice that it makes two Ray Hubbards. Take that Ray Hubbard that's right there that it created underneath, just put it at the top. So now you have two different Ray Hubbards. And then we're going to rename this Ray Hubbard to something else. We're going to call it, let's just say offshore. Offshore Hubbard. We'll call it offshore Hubbard. And so what we're going to do here is we're basically just going to create this KML file. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to delete each one of those that is not an offshore spot. I may even be able to select them all. Let's see if I can select them all by holding down the control key, right clicking, and deleting that way. So now what I've done is I've created this offshore Hubbard only. So that only shows me the offshore hotspots that I have marked out there for you guys on Simplistic Fishing. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to right click on this offshore Hubbard. I'm going to click Save Places As. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to save it as a KMZ. Now yours will probably default in and look like this, KML. You need to go down here, or sorry, it defaults in as KMZ, and you'll need to change it to KML. So once you change it to KML, download it wherever you want. I usually just put it in my downloads folder and then click save. And then our next step, what we're going to do is we're going to jump over. I'm going to show you how to convert that KML file to a GPX file and to a USR file for Lowrance and Garmin and some Hummingbird units, the Solix only. And then we'll also jump in and I'll talk to you guys about the Helix units as well. So let's jump over. Let's talk about GPS Visualizer and how we're going to convert this thing. I'll put the links to these websites in the video description, but what I'm going to do now is I've moved over here to gpsvisualizer.com. And when you first get to this site, this is what it's going to look like. This is super, super easy. All you need to do is click Choose File, and then you're going to go over and you're going to choose the file that we created. In my example, I created Offshore Hubbard. Then I click Open. And then from there, I'm going to see where it says Choose an Output Format. I'm going to change that to GPX file. And then I'm simply going to hit the convert button. It's going to go and it's going to do its little process, and then it's going to basically spit out a GPX file for you. It's right here. So then you click the download button again, and then you download the file. And then once you download the file, basically you just take that file, copy it, and paste it to your SD card, and then put it in your graph and do your import process. Now, if you're a Hummingbird user, it's a little bit different. Also, if you're a Lowrance user and it doesn't support GPX, that's different as well. So let's talk about the Lowrance part first. And then if you have a Helix unit or something other than a Solix unit that's a Hummingbird, you need to stick around because I'm going to show you how to use the Hummingbird PC software in order to make this all happen as well. So for you Lowrance users, we're going to go back out. When you first get to this main screen for GPS Visualizer, up here at the top, you're going to notice there's a little, I guess just a link that's up there called GPS Babel. You're going to click that GPS Babel link. And what you're going to do is you're going to go here where it says Input File Format, and you're going to select Google Earth. So if I start typing in Google Earth, you're going to see right here, Google Earth Markup Language, WTR. So select that. And then your output file, I always select just Lowrance. Now there's a couple different ones. There's a Lowrance version 4 and just a regular Lowrance. I haven't had any issues with either one of them, but just to be safe, I always do the Lowrance USR just so that way it's supported by all the devices that I send out. You could probably do version 4 and be fine as well. And then what you'll do here is upload your GPS files. So you're going to choose the file that we created, that KML file, which is Offshore Hubbard, which is right here under my downloads folder. I'm going to click open, and then I'm going to say convert the file. Then once it's converted, just like we did with the GPX file, we have a link here. We just click it, and then it downloads to our download folder. And then we would take that, copy it, and paste it to your SD card. I would suggest if you're a Lowrance user, you copy and paste the GPX file and the USR file. So that way, if the GPX file doesn't work, you have the USR file already there as a backup. Now, also Solix users, the only file that you will need is the GPX file. And I believe your unit may even support the KML file, so you might not even have to do any conversions. For those of you that have Helix units or something other than Solix, stick around. We're going to hop over to Hummingbird PC, and I'm going to show you how to create that file. So Hummingbird makes this interesting for you if you're not using a Solix unit. And what you have to do is you actually have to download the Hummingbird PC software. You can find that by just going out to Google Earth and downloading the Hummingbird PC software. Then once you do that, what we're going to do is we're going to take that GPX file that we created. So remember, hopefully you were paying attention in the last part of the video when we were talking about creating the GPX file and then we downloaded it. We're going to grab that GPX file and we're going to bring it into here. So that way we can convert it over to a matrix folder. I know it's so confusing. And then that's basically going to be put on the card and we'll be good to go from there. So here's how we're going to do it. We're going to go over here and we're going to say File, Open. And then from there, we're going to look at our downloads folder. And it's going to be the one that we just recently downloaded. So it was in our downloads folder. It doesn't show me a date here. So what I'll do is I'll go here and I'll just make sure that I'm selecting the right one, because I just modified it today. And so that's going to be that one. And I'm going to click Open. So that is basically going to open the GPX file that we created. Real quick, just to make sure that you guys are following along, let's go back real quick and show you how I created that GPX file. So I went to that GPS visualizer page. I clicked choose file. I clicked offshore Hubbard. Then I clicked open. And then I said convert it to a GPX file. We converted it. And then we downloaded it by clicking this link right here. And then one thing you might want to do, I probably should have shown you that earlier, is to just rename that file so that way it's not so confusing with all those crazy numbers. So we could call this Hubbard off. Now when we pull it into Hummingbird PC, it's going to actually make some sense and it's going to not be named so weird. So let's just pull it in, Hubbard off. And here we go. Here's all of our waypoints. You can see here all of the timber, the bridge, the hump, the point, the culvert, all that stuff. That's just all your offshore stuff. So now once you have it in here, you got to go out and get your SD card and make sure that your PC or whatever it is has an SD card reader. If not, you can go out to Amazon and just buy an USB SD card reader. They're fairly cheap. So what you're going to do is you're going to plug in your SD card. Now I'm actually doing that right now. You can't see me, but I'm doing it. So I'm going to plug it in. And when I do that, it's obviously going to bring up the card. Now, what I always like to do when I do these cards is I always like to format them. It's your choice if you want to format them or not. But for this example, we'll skip that. We're just going to close that window. And you'll notice right here, this little green arrow came up and it says upload from PC. Now I want to show you something. I'm going to unplug the card real quick. And notice that that option goes away. So you do this import and then you're like, how in the world? But how do I save it? You can't really save it out to a file folder or anything like that. You've got to have this SD card. So I'm going to put the SD card back in there. Watch that upper left-hand side. You'll notice that those options come back. All right, so the options are back. And then now really all we have to do here is we just go in here and we click upload. And then that is going to upload it to the card. It's going to prompt you and say, do you want to add or replace? You're going to say, I want to add or replace. We want to add it. And then we're successful. And then what you do from there is pretty easy. You basically just take the card, you plug it into the graph. It's going to say, do you want to encrypt the card or not? You say yes or no. And then it says import. It bring everything in and you say yes, and it imports everything in. Now, what's actually happening on that card is it's actually creating a matrix folder, which is right here. So this is the card that we plugged in, and this is the matrix folder. You have to have that matrix folder in order for everything to work. So if you want to maybe copy that matrix folder, or if you want to copy that SD card or these waypoints for your friend or something like that, and he's using a Helix unit, you have to make sure that you copy the matrix folder and all of its contents, not just the stuff that's inside the matrix folder itself. So that basically will allow you to modify all of those waypoints. So just going back, we showed you how to do the downloads there. The last thing would be, if you want to do something a little bit different, maybe you don't want to do offshore, maybe you only want to do ramps or cover. You'll obviously have all those abilities to do that. Just go back and follow those steps that I just talked about, and it should help you out a ton. Guys, I hope this is helping you. It's definitely changed the way that I fish. I think it's improved my fishing tremendously. Gives me a perfect view of the lake when I'm out there and know exactly where to go, really be able to pattern my stuff. So I've really been enjoying it, and I'm super happy I was able to share it with you guys. So I hope this is helpful. And until next time, hope you catch your PB. Take it easy.